Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. Today, I titled this message, Toxic Legacy. Toxic Legacy, and that's what some individuals, unfortunately, are leaving behind. You see, toxic legacy, simply put, when it comes to families, is when one just simply does not want to change from a toxic mentality, doesn't want to cut off the people who have kept a lot of the toxic behaviors ongoing within the family construct. These are individuals who are unfortunately not going to be remembered for the good that they did. No, they will be remembered for the pride and the prejudice and the disrespect and the division and all of the ugly that they brought about on their children as well as grandchildren. And they thought they were going to be okay and all right, repeating what the mothers and the fathers and the grandmothers and the grandfathers did or didn't do. The only way that any of us are really going to heal is if we make sure that we check ourselves. You see, some people, they checked some folks out of their lives. But what they haven't done yet is that heart-to-heart with self. Some people checked folks out that they should have never checked people out. Okay, because those were the people who were the ones that were praying for you. Those were the people who were fighting for you. Those were the people who were protecting you from all of the evil and the dark and the ugly. But when I'm in a toxic mentality, I don't see anything but what I want to see. And that's the good old days. Okay. Reconstructing, once again, as I've said in another audio message, reconstructing the good old days. The good old days was everybody came over, they drank, they smoked, they cussed, they watched rated R movies and even some folks rated X movies. They were just being difficult and having their share of attitudes, and you were never allowed to express yourself. If you did, if you said that something was uncomfortable or wasn't right, you were considered disrespectful. I mean, this is the type of toxic stuff that people continue to carry on with their children and grandchildren. Because back then, it was considered okay and all right. And so they want that cycle to continue. As I said in another audio, what happens is when you continue with the negative behaviors, the attitudes, the mood swings, the what you're not going to tolerate, and I'm a tough talker and I'm going to whoop this one's you know what and all of that. When you continue it, all you do is perpetuate a cycle of more violence, more backstabbing, more gossipy type, more drug addicts, more alcoholics, because the atmosphere cultivated that. I saw it firsthand. And then those who were older than me at the time, but still children themselves, they picked up on all of that. And then they repeated the cycle with their own families. And they consider it perfectly normal. That's what happens when you've been around enough abnormal types of behavior. You start to think it's okay and all right until the problems show up. Problem after problem after problem, and still making excuses for why we still need to get together. Why do I need to get together with some drug addicts? Because that's your, and you fill in a blank. No, I'm not. Sorry, I'm not. I had some individuals years ago tell me that certain substances that they were drinking and smoking and what have you, that's from Mother Earth. I don't know what you talking about, girl. You need to be down. No, I'm not going to be down with any of it. Well, there's people in your family. I don't care what the people in my family do. I'm not them. And you see, when you talk like this, you automatically become marked. When you start saying what you're not going to be like, those people who are like that can't stand you. So what they do is they'll infiltrate a plan against you. They will talk negative about you and say that what you're saying is not really accurate. It's not correct. They'll talk to other people. Let me tell you what she said. Okay. Hide up, drunk, simple acting, some of them, they're not even on substances, but they got some things that's going on inside their mind that make them say stupid things, act ridiculous, and then they want folks to still embrace them. I learned that I was not going to continue to support the toxic legacy. Okay. Wasn't going to do that. I admit I did I did support it early on when I didn't know any better, when I wasn't walking with the Lord. I was right there with some folks like, oh yeah, when I get older, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to get my party on. Hey, went to the clubs. Okay. Shaking my behind, drinking my drink. Didn't get into the drugs. But if there was a prescription medicine that I could use and it was considered totally legal, then so be it. Not for high reasons, just because I had some difficult cycles, and every now and again, a strong painkiller. But I didn't allow myself to get addicted because I saw the examples, and I didn't want to be a part of that. And so when you manage to slip through the cracks, people want to assume that, oh, no, you did do. No, I didn't. I didn't stay in the party atmosphere for long. A good year. I gave myself a good year. Every now and again, okay, I'm going to say hi, to this one and that one. And then eventually that faded out. Okay. And it helped when I moved. Not just once, but many, many times. I moved from different areas so I didn't get sucked in and sucked up and sucked out. Okay. I was running from the foolishness. See, there's the running that you do that is the toxic running, where you're running away from the people that can help you, from the people that can, just build you up, not break you down. And then there's the running that you do because it is perfectly legitimate. It is perfectly functional. You are trying to maintain your sanity. You don't want to stay around the toxic folk because you know that there's the long history of them being difficult, of them being very mean-spirited, being violent even. Okay? And so when you're a functional, thinking human being, you support people on that. Yeah, I wouldn't stay there either. I wouldn't deal with it. Some folks, though, who are toxic don't even want to hear your side. They're going to shut you down. The reason why I don't want to hear what you got to say. That's just your mother. That's your dad. That's your sister. That's your brother. You just need to just go head on with all of that. You see? And right away, when you hear that sort of attitude and the dysfunction is just rising by the second, you don't need to say anything to that person other than to walk away, to disconnect. I'm not dealing with this. Because no matter what you say, they're not going to believe you. They're going to keep coming at you with, but you should. It's the right thing to do. It's a higher road. You should be better than that. You should forgive and forget. You see. That is not a good, that's not a good connection. That's not a person who is a good advisor. That's a person who's controlling. You should, you better, you ought to, you need to. And they don't even hear themselves. They don't even see themselves. Why would they be that way? Because chances are they were controlled. So the legacy that's left behind for some individuals is that not only are they emotionally abusive, possibly physically abusive, but you got some who are just blatantly controlling. Just controlling. They may not have hit you, but they hit somebody else. They may not have cussed you out, but they cussed somebody else out, you see. Like we got socially sweet, privately cruel, abusive men. We also got socially sweet, privately cruel, abusive women. Okay. And these legacies that they're leaving behind is the type of legacies that maybe some individuals will talk about and they'll come to the forefront and they'll say, listen, I got to get some things off my chest because for a long time I've been holding some stuff in. Here is how so-and-so really is. Okay. And of course, those that are controlling, those that don't want certain truths to come out, they're going to say, you better not ever talk about me. Whether I'm alive, dead, or whatever else, you better not. Because after I bought this for you and I did that for you, and remember them times where you were on that struggle bus and I was the one that got on that bus and pulled you off of it, you better not. Okay. And some of them, they walk around with this guilt that if they even breathe just a little bit about what their, in some cases, deceased relatives did or didn't do, the guilt is so heavy that they'll shut their mouths. They'll shut their own mouths because they've been conditioned. You got to rise above the ignorance. You got to rise above the stupidity, even the things that these people will put upon you. You're educated. You're smart. You can research. You can do the types of things that's going to build you up as well as build your future offspring or those that are already here up. The demonic puts people up to doing some very vicious, very foul things. And some of what the demonic will do is cause you not to even consider the future, what your legacy looks like, what you want your legacy to be. Never even pondered it. But today you are, for some of you all. How do you want to be remembered? Life is short. How do you want to be remembered? We are going to die. That's a reality. So how do you want to be remembered? Do you want to be remembered for the one that was strategically manipulating, conniving, trying to get people to think the way you wanted to think, trying to get people to be remembered in a way that you think that people should be remembered? Why are you that one that is throwing out the disinformation about the toxic people? Why are you the one? This is not everybody. This is just some. Why are these the people who want to circumvent the truth when God is using people and places and things to expose? Why? Other than trying to save face, looking at it from a spiritual perspective, the demonic is the father of lies. Therefore, he's got to put his minions who are not walking with the Lord. They claim they are, but Lord, and even God's not even hearing them. Okay? The demonic is ultimately using these people to pull them away from all things righteous and true because his plan is to steal from them, okay, destroy, and kill. Whether they're killed by somebody else or whether they kill themselves. But the demonic is not going down without a fight because children of light do rise up. Children of light do expose. Children of light are used by the one true God, just as the demonic's minions are being used. So in a situation where we're considering legacy, the demonic doesn't want you to think in terms of legacy, what you're leaving behind, what you've been doing to encourage as well as the things that you've been doing to discourage. All the demonic wants you to do is stay in that petty, shallow mindset of we just going to live each day, one day at a time. And it's just going to be lovely and good. And there's no thinking deep. And we're not going to do any type of research on the personality disorders and the mental issues that are in a family with a long legacy of all sorts of dramas and traumas. And that's why I encourage some people that want to go deep when it comes to family history to do just that. I wrote a book, very simple book. Short book, Genealogy X, to get people on that track who the problems are in the family history. Somebody needed that confirmation today. You're dealing with these things that you got a question mark here and a question mark there, and why is this and why is that? Don't just leave the conversation with yourself or with somebody else on this why. Do the research. And you'll get your answers. Find out what exactly was going on with the family. Why were there the lies, the cover-ups, and the secrets? Because there is something that they're hiding because they don't want to be remembered as. And yeah, I know it's embarrassing. I know it can be shameful. And, I want to believe that we came from a long line of, some folks, kings and queens and all this other. Look. The truth of the matter is that if you don't even know the history with your intermediate family, you don't need to be worried about kings and queens. You don't need to even be wrapped up into your ethnicity history. The real issue is with those people that you see or have heard about or you got influenced by over decades. And the toxic stuff is still showing up. You know it's showing up when you got children that push back on you. And they say, don't talk to me like that. I know your mother used to talk to you like that. Don't talk to me like that. Are you being disrespectful? No, I'm not. Sometimes the polite conversation you can't have because you got that argumentative mouth that wants to talk over you. They don't want to hear. Or you got the charming one that says, okay, girl, you know, yeah, we all have our issues. But anyway, how are you doing? How are you and the kids? You see, but we got to have a dialogue. Well, what you want to talk about now? I mean, come on now. The sun is out. The clouds are in the sky. It's a beautiful. Come on now. I want to talk about the issues. Oh, I got to go now. I got to get to work. But it was nice talking to you. And then you never hear from them again. Talk about running. So toxic legacy, what does it look like? We got some murderers. We got some liars, deceivers. We've got some people who are the master manipulators, the charmers, the runners. We've got some people who even hide the health ailments. So you rather have generations behind you become sick and more sick by not telling them what's really going on in the family and why people keep coming up with this weird illness. And nobody really wants to discuss it. Well, I would, out of respect, you know, of my aunt or my uncle or my whoever, that's why I don't say anything. No, people need to know. Well, why should they, you know, have to know? I mean, because they could possibly find some information, some supplements, some, you know, treatments, what have you, that could slow what could possibly show up later on. But nonchalant, selfish people, people who want to be, you know, in someone's good graces, they don't say anything. And I will tell you, that's blood on your hands too. Ooh, that's kind of harsh, isn't it? No, that's blood on your hands. When you know that there is a sickness that's prevalent in a family, or you know that you carry a sickness and you out here and you messing with this one and that one, and you know it's incurable and you don't say anything, that's blood on your hands. And God, he's going to deal with some of these people who do this sort of thing in these families. I hate that sometimes it comes, though, through their own offspring. That's where the butt whipping shows up. I'm noticing that. These innocent folks, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was my dad. It wasn't me. It was my mother. Why are you tripping on me? Why are you doing this to me? They freaking out. And God, you letting this happen. It's unfortunate that sometimes the only way you can get through to a mother or father is that you got to be that one that has that dialogue with the child. And then the child might reveal some things and all of their, it's not me. You see. And sometimes people end up being hurt, as I've said in many audio, behind what mama and daddy did, what grandma and granddad did. Because some people who are under the demonic themselves and they got their share of mental issues and personality disorders, they don't understand a logical conversation. That conversation, you know, where we're going to sit down and we're going to talk in calm voices, and I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to ask me questions, and we're going to get down to the nitty gritty, the root cause of issues. No. Some folks want to settle some things with their paws, with their hands. Okay. Some folks want to just ignore all sound advice, doctrine, wisdom, what the pastor said, what the doctor said, what the psychologist said, and they just want to go all in. It is not right, of course, But toxic legacy has a way of growing on people. And then they feel like the only way I can pay some folk back or get some peace of mind is I've got to do A, B, and C. And they orchestrate a plan. And then the next thing you know, entire families are taken out. Oh, this is bigger than just, intermediate family, extended family. We got some things that go on nationally and internationally because some family left behind all sorts of dirt, darkness, ugliness, demonic activities of all shapes and sizes, backgrounds. And so God, sometimes he will just allow certain people to come on in and clean house. Yeah, this is the ugly. This is the dark side of what toxic legacy breeds. It breeds contempt, hatred. I must avenge. You see. Now, how do we avoid this sort of thing when you got especially sons and daughters that's looking at you, mother, father, sister, brother? What you got is an opportunity to turn things around. What you can do is speak truth, no sugarcoating, no telling lies, no exaggerations, no covering up. What you could do is speak specifically your truth. Because you know your truth better than everybody else. If you don't feel up to talking, you can show visual proof. You can give family relics away, tell a brief about the history, and then leave it up to them to research. You can appoint someone to speak on your behalf. You can leave video, you can leave audio, books. You can record music, you can draw pictures, you can get somebody else to do these things for you. But if you do this sort of thing, the benefits to the generations coming along is that, number one, they're going to have a better understanding as to the family and why the family struggles so much. And they just might even have empathy, you see. And there is no harsh feelings. There is no, I got to pay somebody back because I understand now. Thank you for giving me that understanding. The mothers and the fathers that like to repeat cycles of abuse, they like to keep up the toxic stuff, the dysfunction from other mothers and fathers, from the people who they were influenced by. All they do is just breed more of the same. And when they breed more of the same, there is no questions asked. There is just go along just to get along. There is no deep thinking. There is no too much of anything. Right now, for the teens and for the 20-somethings, this isn't all that important to you because you haven't reached the milestones that some of the late 30s and the 40-somethings, and then I get even the 50s and 60-something that come through here that says, after all these years, I finally understand some things. I get some things. I had to look at the past. I had to do some research. I connected the dots. This wasn't a functional, normal family. There was some toxic stuff. There was some mental issues. There was, some people after them even because of some stuff that happened, you see. And that's why I wasn't accepted in this town, or I was having problems with this circle, or there was some people, whatever that history might be. Okay. So they'll be able to get some understanding in terms of what really happened. Also, they won't repeat the same environments, moving in that type of community where all the drama is. They won't continue with the same watered down, messy, troubled, whatever, celebrations, traditions. They won't continue with the emotionally binding and physically binding types of rituals and communication and behaviors and all of that, because they see what it did to you. Right? And so we don't want our children like, okay, yeah, sure, I want to do all of what my mother told me her grandmother and her mother and father did. Oh, sure, yeah. And how did that work for her? No, they're not going to want to do that because you were candid. You took out that time to say, listen, this is why there's a division. My mother did this to my sister, to my brother. My father did this, and he created this division because his mind was somewhere else. His body was somewhere else, you see. What I see is a pattern, because some folks, you say, oh, well, it's too late because my kids are grown, honey. They done been here, there, and everywhere. Well, no, not necessarily, because then you could say, I see a pattern with you, and I don't like it. See, my mother did that years ago. She said back when I was dating, she said she saw something that wasn't quite right in the people, There was a pattern. And there were a few things that she brought to my attention, and I was like, ooh. And how was she so good in terms of picking out some of those things? Well, because she had been a witness to some things, and she had experienced her share of dramas and traumas, okay? If nobody wants to speak about what was going on in the family, nobody wants to bring up anything, it's supposed to be hush, hush, and shut your mouth, then, okay, your daughter's next. Come on. Because, hey, you don't want her to be around nobody that's going to speak no real truth. Your son's going to be next. Well, no, not my son, because he's smart. He goes to college or he graduated from college. No, he'll be next too. Because, see, once again, you got some folks that want to shut all negativity out that can be learned from. We're not talking about negativity that is going to promote toxic behavior. And, of course, end up being a toxic legacy. No, we're talking about the type of negativity that you learn from. But you know what? I'm going to isolate. And I'm even going to censor myself. And all I want is for them to go to college and be productive citizens. And that's it. And no, I'm not saying nothing. Okay. Then you start seeing now he got an alcohol problem. I saw this firsthand. And I believe I saw it before the mother did. Because the boy was putting all sorts of little pictures up on Facebook while he was at college. Right? She bragging about her baby in college, but her baby was posting up all his party pictures. And when I traced back some things, I said to myself, I said, wait a minute. There was a long line of some fathers in the family who abused alcohol. And I wonder if she know that her son is on that slippery slope. And now he's looking pretty much like that long line of family members who abuse alcohol. He's a drunk. Yeah, they get the certificates and they move on, they get a good job. But then once they get that job, they come home and it's one drink, it's two drinks. First it was just Friday and Saturday. Now it's Monday and it's Tuesday and Wednesday. Trying to shield some folks, but it's in the DNA. Uh-oh. Trying to keep some people away from some things, but it's in the DNA. Grandmother, grandfather, liars, backbiters, gossips, Some drug addiction on the male side. There's some alcohol addiction on the woman's side. A bunch of foolishness going on, but hush, hush, be quiet. Don't say anything. So my prophecy today for some people is that pregnancy that you're so worried about with some of the young folks in the family. Well, there's the sex addicts. There's the sex addicts. There's the ones that they look at sex as a comfort. So she bound to get pregnant at some point, because you see the fast behavior early on, and then wasn't her mother fast, and then her mother's mother was fast. Matter of fact, wasn't there some prostitution in the family? Come on. I'm telling some secrets. And wasn't there some, you know, other foolishness that was going on that was very dark and disturbing, involving witchcraft? Oh, but she won't get mixed up with that. She won't get mixed up with that. You sure about that? Because you got to pay attention to the patterns. You got to pay attention to the signs. And then you see, uh-oh, wait a minute. And see, the beautiful thing about the internet is people get these weak moments. They start posting up some things. And when they're posting up some things, they're posting up their secrets. They're posting up some things. And then you look in the background of some of them photos and you see, uh-oh, there's that family drama and trauma back there. And you look at the eyes of some of these people in these pictures and video and listen to their slurred speech and the way they move their body. And you're like, ooh, this has been going on for a long time in that family. You see, toxic legacy. And the sad part about it is this going to be on the internet for as long as we live and beyond. And they're leaving all this toxic legacy right there on those social media pages. Time to clean up some pages, huh? Well, well, well. I thank the one true God for bringing my attention to this word of wisdom, knowledge, and moving on your spirit to do something about that potential toxic legacy that you could be leaving behind without even knowing it. It is beneficial to share the truth with those individuals. Even if they don't receive it well, even if they're going to mark you and don't want to talk to you, it's better that you do that than to be the liar. Allow the Lord to lead you, though, because sometimes the timing can be off. So if you consider yourself to be a child of God, you Holy Spirit filled, you accepted Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior and all of that, then God will give you the timing. He will even supply you with the information to speak to those individuals concerning what ails you and how you don't want to be that one that's aiding, once again, in that toxic legacy. The lies have to stop in these families in Jesus' mighty name. Thank you, as always, for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube NM Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment. You are welcome also to check the description box. I thank all of those individuals who have been with us for quite some time, who have given, whether they shared links or they gave monies, those that have given tips and advice and all of that, comments, blessings to you. Please do keep up the good work.